very warm welcome to all our listeners. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you will enjoy this podcast. Hi, Milind. Thank you so much for joining us on Blitz Business. It's good to have you.
Thanks, Ashish. Thanks for having me here.
Awesome. Milind, if you can tell us first a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Milind Padole, born and brought up in a very small town called Bandara, which is near Nagpur. Studied there in studied and born and brought up there in a Kant area. So it was a defense area where I was born, and I did my schooling there till 12th. Post that, I went for my engineering in VGTI Mumbai. Post that, I started working in some of the corporates some of the corporates I started working in Mahindra and Tata, and then eventually I started working in a Italian subsidiary called Fiat subsidiary, Italian company, Fiat subsidiary, Cumao India, and through that I went to Germany, and I worked there for a couple of years. And when I came back in 2005, I started, started my own business. So I started with supplying of design, detailing. So I used to get designs from my colleagues and my friends in Germany. So I made a lot of friends when I was there, right? So I used to get the design. We used to do detailing, send it back. Then we started machining of parts. So we used to do casting. We used to source casting, do machining, send it to European countries. So all these were for robotic lines. So I used to work in robotic company. Uh, so the designs of robotic and small parts of robotics we used to make and send it.
So, what was the switch, Milind, in terms of, so we had tons of entrepreneurs who has come over the years, and the fascinating part for me has been in terms of how did you identify you want to start something of your own and in what area? Because we get a lot of queries in terms of people asking, how do you switch from a corporate job first of all? Because it
Yeah.
provides itself with its own cushion and all. So what was that moment for you? You were thinking like, hey, अब तो करना है यही करना है या what was that moment?
No, so if you see my journey, I tried couple of times to start my own business. So before I started this in 2005, I started three businesses. Between 99 to 2001, I started three businesses, got failed, and then while growing, I read one book, Fail Fast to Grow Fast, and that book inspired me a lot. And then the whole principle of my life has turned from there, that I don't care whether I'm failing or not. So till date, if you see, Ashish, I must have started 14 companies,
14?
and companies.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Must have failed in 10 probably, and invested in three companies, out of which one company got bankrupt, two are still running. So I invested also in couple of my ecosystem, right? So
Let's discuss a little bit on these 14. What was the reason of the failure? You look into retrospect because it's
yeah, yeah,
equally
yeah.
important to celebrate
It's
success and failure, I feel.
yes. So every failure I learned a lot, right? So first I started. Three of our friends used to sit in Pune. When I shifted to Pune, we used to sit, chat. Arey, kuch to karna hai, and so this one guy, very close friend of mine, Kamlesh Tather, who is in Australia now. So he was a polymer engineer, right? So he said, "Ki, okay, let's start BOPP tape." And there was one more friend of mine, Srinivas Joshi, who is in US now. Um, So he asked him to start BOPP film. So he started BOPP film, and I started BOPP tape.
What is
And
BOP film? Sorry.
like it's a cello tape, like you
Ah,
stick
okay.
it, right? So
Okay.
that was the first thing, right? So the first failure was, like, without domain knowledge we just started something. We never worked in that, and we never did anything. Neither we were chemical engineer. We thought kuch to karna hai life mein, and we I left the job to start manufacturing of BOPP tape, but then somehow my loan didn't get sanctioned, and then I thought ठीक है trading करते हैं. So I started doing trading of BOPP tape because I spent 6 months learning all the nitty gritty of that, and we failed miserably because there were a lot of domain expertise, or lot of nitty gritty which one requires to run a business. So we failed in that. Then many things, right? So one of the very interesting thing, I started Bhavya Engineering.
Okay.
So okay, so that was way back in 2000, I think 10. uh, After 5 years of this, we started. So 2005 we started Global Sourcing, which was a robotic company, and which we got merged in the private limited later on. But then we started in 2005, right? The company which is now listed. So 2010, I must have started a backward integration of what we were doing. So we thought, okay, let us start, supplying parts to big OEMs. So we started Bhavya Engineering in Indore, and we became vendor for Mahindra two wheelers. And we expanded. We were almost having 150 people in Pritampur. So it was going well. And after 2 years, then we were completely dependent on Mahindra. So their two wheeler didn't work, and they were having issues, and then we started having issues. So every business, we were learning something. So 2016, I started in Shanghai manufacturing plant, and we used to make from India and start, supplying there. Uh, COVID, we had to close down because we were not getting visa, and there were a lot of issues. So before that, also we were facing a lot of issues in China, language issues. So every business when we were starting, we were learning a lot of new things. That why we failed. But then
But
this was going great. This was continuously growing, the parent business in which we were, invested.
so
So
currently, this means you're fully prepared for this your current venture with all the learnings in hand.
yeah, every time I think that I have learned everything.
So
But
what was?
then you have to have a lot of risk taking ability,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
when you're coming from zero,
Hmm.
and you have to have a lot of risk taking ability capability. You should have enough backup to take those risks. Those risks should be calculated risk and stuff like that. So every time when I was starting a company, I always kept a threshold that if I lose this much, I am going to close this, whatever I feel like.
Hmm.
So I always did that. So whatever I was earning, I was probably trying to explore new business, and that is where we are. So now we have a parent company which is valued at around 100 million, and
Okay.
which is listed entity. And then we have a subsidiary which is focused on a US operation, which is now valued at 40 million. It's we have not even started sale, but it is valued at 40 million because we have developed a lot of tech. We have developed a lot of controllers, and we are going to start revenue now in next 3 months.
So what is this structure in terms of parent companies controlled by whom and this entity is controlled by?
So parent company, me and my family holds around 64% stake, which is listed
Okay.
on Bombay Stock Exchange. And then
Okay.
we have some major investors like Vijay Kedia ji, who holds around 10 to 15%. And then there are retail investors. So
Okay.
practically 45% is retail investors and major investors. Uh, so that is the parent. So I took almost Ashish 20 years, 2005 to 23, right? So almost 18 years to reach
Almost. Yeah.
100 million, okay, in the parent. And then there is a subsidiary which is 80% of the parent. So ARAPL holds 80%, and then 20% is investor and all. So which
Wow.
has reached 40 million in 2 years.
Wow.
Okay,
But
so
but that 40
which
million cannot be looked into a silo, right? It was all your entire journey, your
yes,
experience.
yes. So
Yeah.
we have learned that, and now this the subsidiary is going to grow very fast. It will be probably, next year, if we are talking same time, probably it will 300 million or something. So we have mastered that art just by taking a lot of risk, by failing a lot of time, and we were failing fast. You know, I was not sitting too long. So every venture I was failing in 1.5 years. That's all.
So let's talk about then affordable robotic automation. So, pehla customer, how did you get?
Yeah. So first customer was my ex boss.
Okay.
So he knew that I did this kind of job in Germany, and he said, "Okay, we want to do this in India, and there is no one here." And they wanted to do in a very low cost. And
Okay.
then they approached and they said, "Okay, so can you do this?" And so I actually I took that. I was having uh, designer also. I hired from somewhere, and that workshop also we hired from somewhere temporary, and then we built that. So it
So,
was
what
the
was the first
first.
product you were to
So
build or build?
it was lift and carry. So once the vehicle is made in one station, right? So if you
Hmm.
see a car or a bike being made, so it is made in number of stations, right? So 100
Correct.
stations probably. So once it is made, it is to be picked and put in another station, right? So every 50 seconds it has to be transferred to another station. So it is like that, right? So that high speed transfer from station to station, that was so it is called lift and carry. So
Okay.
that was the product which we made. It's a
That's
three
how.
axis robo actually, or a
Okay.
three axis machine, you can say.
And what was the typically then sort of? So, your expertise, the company's expertise lies in robotics.
Yes. So the parent company expertise is into fixed robotics. Fixed
Okay.
robotic is the robot which is fixed to the ground, which cannot move.
Okay.
Okay. So when a robot is fixed to the ground, uh, it works. So it has a very fixed work, right? So every time
Yes.
you will say, okay, make you have to make Brezza, suppose, or whatever Harrier, or whichever car. So that those robots, the set of robots, like 100 robots, will keep on making that car for next 5 years or 4 years, right? With some changes or something. So their work content is fixed. They are fixed. Their location is fixed. So these are pretty simpler robots, right? So these work on machine language and PLC, like electronic engineers, and can do this job. So the subsidiary which we have started 2 years back are into mobile robotics. Okay, so the whole world is moving towards the mobile robotics, because now the choices are so much that earlier we used to build one line. That line used to make one model for years. Now Ashish needs one model. Ashish ka friend needs another model. His another friend needs another model. So everybody has different taste. So that robo has to make one model, then he has to move, make another model, then he has to move and make another model, right?
By model,
So
what do you mean? Like
different cars or different
different
models, right?
cars? Okay.
Yeah. So you can't have similar platform or same cars throughout for a longer time. The life of a model has shortened drastically because of that, right? So one car model will run for some months, and then suddenly its sales start dropping. Then
Yes.
suddenly some new model comes into picture. So similarly, in warehouse or e-commerce is booming, right? So whole pattern of shopping has changed. So this was so the parent company was mainly focused on automotive. So I was giving you automotive example. The subsidiary which is into mobile robotics is more focused on e-commerce, or
Okay.
the whole buying has changed, right? So you have reduced going to mall and started more and more shopping from online, and then you want things in 10 minutes. So everything calls for a lot of change in the back end, right? So earlier, when you used to go to a shopping mall, so we used to have one big warehouse somewhere in probably NCR, and that used to supply to everywhere, right? All the mall, and you used to go and buy. Now you want in 10 minutes, right? So 10 minutes means there'll be a bigger mall, then there'll be smaller malls, smaller MFC, it is called micro fulfillment centers, or dark stores, which
Okay.
are like in 2-3 kilometers of your house. So a person can reach your house in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or half an hour, right? So the material moves from a bigger warehouse to smaller warehouse to your house. So the touch points have increased, every time. So the smaller warehouse near your house is like 5,000 square feet. So it can't have all the items near your house, right?
True.
So it will have only the item which probably one locality is ordering. So in Pune, if you see, one area is Cosmos, so that will order probably some kind of items. One locality is all Maharashtrians, so they will order some other kind of items. So this bigger mother warehouse keep on feeding to these things,
Smaller.
and the kind of speed, yeah, smaller warehouse, the kind of speed, the kind of accuracy is required is not human job anymore, right? So if you see, it is almost 13 to 14% shrinkage in the bigger warehouse in uh, most of the developing countries. What is shrinkage? Shrinkage is a lot of theft happening in the warehouse, or a lot of damage. So मुझे अभी सपोज 10 किलो का आटे का पैकेट आई हैड टू कीप at one location. I have not kept because I am tired, so I have kept at some other location. Then when I go to fetch that, and I don't see that in that location, right? So that order is lost. So
Right.
all this is called shrinkage. So the shrinkage itself is almost 14%, right? So 14% is huge amount. So all these things are driving automation now everywhere. So optimizing the process, and so
So I,
optimizing
I
everything.
I can imagine it is a lot of I can imagine it is a lot of hardware plus software role also.
Yes, yes. There's a lot of software, there's a lot of AI involved in this. So inventory placement. So if you put wrong inventory in a wrong locality, you're gone. Your transport cost itself will be huge.
So do you
So
also manage end to end, or it is just the warehousing automation bit, or you do?
no, so we do warehousing automation. We don't do end to end. So we have only the AI within the warehouse. So what items can be ordered today? So those items are in the forward position, and the rest of the items are in the rear side. So I can fulfill your orders, maximum orders in minimum, robots or minimum machines. So all those AI we do within the warehouse also. So within the warehouse also, you have to, the inventory placement is very important, right?
Absolutely, because it is also, it depends how quickly you can retrieve and then dispatch, etc.
And if suppose if I keep some kind of items in one area, and suddenly you get a lot of orders, and all the robo go to fetch that, so the robo will wait for each other, right? So they will not go and bang, so they will wait. So we have to place also, the items in such a way that, if this item is going to ordered with this, so so this item has to be in the different zone. So it is called zone for them. So if a human is also working, you have a workspace, right? So I can't allot same workspace to 5 people. How they are going to work there? So I,
So,
so in the office also we give a different desk to different people, right? So we so in the warehouse also we have to place in such a way that a robot should have different working spaces. It should not
mm,
go and collide. Otherwise, Ashish has ordered one item and I have also ordered. Both are kept in the same place, and my robot is just waiting for Ashish's order to be fulfilled.
endless recurring loop fitting then.
Huh.
so,
So you
so
have to
then,
keep on studying the data for last 1 month, 1 year, what kind of pattern, धनतेरस के दिन क्या ऑर्डर हो रहा है और दिवाली के दिन क्या ऑर्डर हो रहा है, एक दिन पहले झंडू का फूल ऑर्डर हो रहा है, and stuff like that. So lot of AIs, lot of AIs, and the festival keep on changing. When you go from one state to another state, one district to another district, one country to another country, so you have to have a lot of those kind of AI engines fitted.
so what is the current state, Milind, in terms of India versus like Amazon, which are have another level of automation? Where does India stand compared to in this space? Is the technology at neck to neck at the same sort of level or something different? Because there are a lot of I'm sure you must have heard of this company Boston Dynamics, crazy robots
Yeah,
which they are making,
yeah, yeah,
uh, mimicking sort of human or animal
yeah. They are almost
movements.
making humanoid. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So where do you see the current landscape, like from
See,
international west
as
versus
far as Amazon is concerned, Amazon is always ahead, right? In the game. So
yes,
he's raising the bar, and everybody is trying to catch up to that. So, leaving Amazon or Walmart, rest are at par of the automation level. So, these two are quite ahead. Amazon is far, far ahead. And in India, it is going to take a lot of time because e commerce players are still trying to consolidate their positions, right? Except for a big few who have already consolidated. So these people are now, once they complete their consolidation of customer acquisition, then they will probably go into process optimization and all. So our subsidiary is basically focused on US operation, US and Canada. So
okay.
we are focused in US and Canada for warehouse automation, warehouse mobile robotics automation.
And ये मिलिंद, how was the name came about? आपने नाम में अफोर्डेबल डाल दिया. It was a reason
There
कि
was
कोई
lot of
पूछ रहा है
reason,
यार ये
Ashish.
महंगा नहीं है.
यार
कुछ
हम
experience
लोग
करने लगा
पहले
ऐसे.
the name was global sourcing. Okay, 2005 we
Okay.
started as a global sourcing. We never thought we will manufacture something like this. We thought
Hmm.
कि हम लोग रोबोट के पार्ट्स बनाएंगे और यूरोप यूरोप भेजते रहेंगे. So we started with global sourcing. Then we started manufacturing. So लोग हमको पूछते थे यार, are you doing trading? So we used to say नहीं नहीं, we are manufacturing. So they are saying कि then why your name is global sourcing? Then we thought यार अभी तो नाम change करना पड़ेगा. And then the other problem was whenever we used to say कि हम रोबोट बना रहे हैं तो वो बोलते थे नहीं नहीं बहुत महंगा है तुम भाग जाओ यहाँ से. So they never used to give appointment.
Oh,
Okay, so and everybody used to say नहीं नहीं यार इंडिया में लेबर कितना cheap है, why somebody needs robot. And I used to tell them बाबा handmade cars nobody is going to buy after 2-3 years.
hmm.
So गया वो कि somebody will sit in Ambassador or Padmini Premier. People are going to change their standard. Everybody has to change. If MNC change the standard, everybody has to change, right?
Hmm.
And when MNC is coming to India, they are not going to come with a different process. वो तो वहाँ पे जो process है वही process के साथ इधर आ जाएंगे direct.
Hmm.
They are not going to come to India and say कि नहीं अच्छा इंडिया में हम process अलग करते हैं और वहाँ पे अलग करते हैं. They have all the more different compulsions, right? तो अभी when Ford is making, Ford will always think कि अगर मेरे को कोई तो US में legally sue नहीं करना चाहिए. So they will make a process as per that. They will never think कि यहाँ पे labor cheap है.
True.
So their priorities are different, right? So once they start making good cars, you can't go and say कि नहीं नहीं मैं अभी भी manual बनाऊंगा.
Then moving on, Milind.
Yeah.
So what was the when you were then building your company, etc. So what was that point you thought you need to list, or what was that entire process like?
So, when I went to China in 2016, I started seeing that company have grown from zero to, 1,000 crores, which is like, 1,000 crores rupees revenue. Um, so I thought, we need to grow that fast. And we were like just zero to 100 crores in, 15 years that time or 16 years. So we thought ki, to grow faster we need a lot of funds, right? So we tried private equity, but then private equity terms were not that favorable. So then we thought let's go public. Let's start. So everybody is saying it is too early to go to public, but then I thought that's the right time for us. So every journey, it will be different, so I might find it right for my business. Somebody might find right at a different level. So everybody might have that threshold at a different level. So we thought it is the right time. So we said okay, let's go for public. Let's raise the fund. So we were at 65 crores revenue, right, when we went public, and we raised around 35 crores, uh, diluting almost 40%. So that was the kind of amount we were able to raise. So definitely we reached, this year we will be doing around 200 CR revenue in parent and 40 CR in subsidiary, right? So definitely that gave us a lot of push, that gave us a lot of opportunity to how to raise funds, because if you have to grow faster you need a lot of funds, right? So that's a very good avenue
True,
to raise
true, true.
funds.
Absolutely, it gives you a lot of flexibility. And I was looking at the share price. I don't know how often you look at it. So it has gone from 113 till maxed out at 830 and around in the same range now. So do
Yeah.
you regularly check, or how is it like?
So when somebody calls up saying अरे क्या हुआ है, stock इतना नीचे गिर रहा है या इतना ऊपर जा रहा है, so that time I go and check. So then I continuously keep on checking if it is falling or if it is growing up. So otherwise I don't check, because if you see our holding pattern, we have never
Hmm.
diluted from 2018 till now. So now we are going for right issue after
Oh
almost
wow.
say 5 years. So, so we are raising around
Hmm.
7 million now through right. So which will get closed by November end. So it is all done. It is the legality and formalities are going on. So that is how, like, after 5 years we will be diluting our
Hmm.
stake this time. So I don't really care about my only focus is to grow the business.
I was reading within last 3 4 years, the Indian equity market has seen the most sell off from the promoters in terms of they diluting their shareholding
Mm-hmm.
a lot within the last 5 years. I mean, it could some data was like compared to the last recession, etc., etc. The highest amount promoter has sold during the period,
Mm-hmm.
and plus a lot of, I mean, the IPOs like Mama Earth, etc., etc., is happening with crazy valuations. So, usme any
Mm-hmm.
comments you have? What is that thing
Yeah.
happening?
No, every promoter will think right what is right for them, but then we definitely have a bigger, very very big vision. So we want to be we want to get listed in Nasdaq, next milestone, and we would like to list at 3 billion valuation. So in next 4 years, and that is what is the target, and that is what we have always said in various platforms. So we are on that journey.
In terms of your initial years, how did you manage to get capital or etc. from the initial seed funding stage?
So initial till you see
Hmm.
2018 when we got listed, right? So till that time it was all bootstrap, debt, own funds.
Hmm.
So it was all like that, right? So it was like whatever business we were doing, whatever profit we were earning, then debt from bank. So through that only we were doing. So we were struggling throughout, and that was the reason why we were
Hmm.
growing very
Hmm.
very slow, right? Very slow. So 2005 to 2018, we were 65 CR,
Hmm.
right? So it's nothing, right? It's like now probably we are raising that amount in one right issue, right? So so 5 years down the line, things have changed so much that whatever I was doing 5 years back, the turnover, that fund we are raising by diluting, 7-8%. So so that is the change we have seen, and that was just because we got listed in SME exchange. We were able to raise funds, and then we were able to deploy that, right? So definitely we want to grow faster, and so initial there is a lot of struggle, right? So if you see 16, 17 years we were like slowly growing, very 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 slow growth, so people can get frustrated in that. So you know 0 to 65 in probably
Wow.
13 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
It
pretty long
requires a lot of
time.
patience.
Yeah, it requires a lot of patience.
So what is your then, if you look like these were last 17, 18 years, then now coming to next 10 years, what is your target? Like, yeah, milestone, you have something in your head, I want to achieve.
So 2028, we are saying ki we want to be valued
Okay.
at 3 billion
Compared to today, it
valuation,
is of what value
and we want
valuation?
to
Okay.
it is like 140 million,
Okay.
total put together is
Hmm.
valued at 140 million. So we want to get valued at and we have done lot of structural changes. If you see, we were customizing the whole automation. So you used to say, okay, मुझे ऐसे टाइप के लिए रोबोट चाहिए, तो we used to make हमको ऐसे टाइप के लिए. So from customization of automation or robotic, we have come to productization of automation, and now we have developed such a technology or such controllers or such technology that nobody in India is having that, and we are going to now explode from here. So this is a good time for us because of whatever we
Hmm.
have done so many years. So I'm sure we will reach that kind of revenue. What we are saying, like we are saying 700 to 800 million revenue in next
Hmm.
5 years, right? And that will take our valuation to 3 billion. So we have a perfect plan to reach that revenue.
Is it, is it, are
So
you counting more on
that's what it
international
is.
sales or?
So most of
Hmm.
it, of course, will be international sales, and you know, say 70%
Hmm.
will be international sales,
Hmm.
sales and service both. So if you see, the breakup will be 70% from international and 30% from domestic. So in 70% also, if you see, that 70%, 40% will be sale and 30%
Okay.
will be service recurring revenue. So we will be selling all the software licenses, robotic software licenses
Hmm.
through perpetual licenses. So we will not be
Hmm.
selling as a capital thing
And
there.
what is what is the current scenario? You make everything in house, or there are I assume there will be components which you need to import.
Yes, so we import a lot of things, right? So a lot of things
Hmm.
in India are not made, or a lot of things we have to import. But then 7 years, 7 months, or 8 months down the line, you will see a lot of things we would have started manufacturing in house. Whatever
For
we are
example.
importing, we will be manufacturing in house. for example, controller, for example, motor, 48 volt motor, for example, 48 volt motor drives. So we are working with one Indian startup based out of US, and so they are working on motors, electric motors, 20 48
So
volt.
Milind, in this
Them,
during, sure, please go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So we are working with one company for motors. Then we are working with some very learned people. We have hired them for making controllers. We are making controllers in house. So that's going to change the whole game.
Hmm. Uh, so this sort of makes me think. Well, any point in time you thought of tapping into adjacencies? For example, drone. It's getting a lot of attention for last couple of years due to policies, regulations, opening up, etc., etc. And sort of, I assume it's part of not really warehousing, but delivery perspective. Any thoughts on your plans related to drone?
No, so we will be focusing only on AMRs or ACRs for that
Okay.
matter. So
Hmm.
AMR is automated mobile robots, or automated ACR is automated carton robots. So we will be focused on these two only.
Hmm.
But it will have a lot of applications, right from port to last mile. So
Okay.
right from factory, when the good is made to it is delivered to a person. So
Hmm.
there are a lot of application you will see for this, and we are developing for a lot of different applications. Also, these kind of robots.
So, Milind, in this entire sort of journey, what was the biggest challenges you have faced, as an entrepreneur while running this company?
There were multiple challenges. The biggest, probably, getting people. Since this field itself is so new, so we have to get people, we have to train them, and then they leave. Then they try to start their own, and so all that is part of job, right? So then you're trying to create your own competition. So so a lot of things like that. So how to retain people, how to motivate them. First, how to take people, to train them, then to retain them, keep them motivated. So it's a big challenge, and it's a circle. So then everybody thinks, then once they start working, they also think they should also try. So many people left, they started their own, they failed, they again came back
Hmm.
because they have not seen me failing multiple times. They think ki, acha, Milind started and then it really worked well, right? So
Yes,
everybody is just looking at the company which is running, but they hardly few people know how many times I failed.
that is true. That is true. Maybe a good idea to set up an incubation center.
Yeah,
Hey, if
I
you
would love to.
some companies have started doing, and then so and any sort of aspect in from sales perspective. So you mentioned on people management, etc. Anything on sales perspective, how easy, difficult it was for you to get customers?
See, initially sales was very, very difficult, but now if you see, a lot of our customers, like 80% of customers are repeat customers, so we don't even have to go, right? So the customers are coming to us. So we are now teaching our people how to retain customers, right? When the customer is coming back to you, you should not become complacent, right?
Hmm.
So now the challenges are different. So now our team, we keep on teaching them not to get complacent if the customer is coming back to you, right, again and again.
Hmm.
Initially, of course, there was a lot of issue. If you ask me, I remember one typical case. I was, you know, I was pitching for one order in Piaggio,
Hmm.
and Piaggio is like 200 kilometers from my factory,
Hmm.
almost 200 kilometers. So I had to go there 22 times to get one
Wow.
first order, and every time I used to go, and that guy, later on we became very good friends. I don't want to name him, but he used to call me at 9 o'clock, right? So I had to start very early from my house, and you used to have a lot of limitation of resource. Sometime you will have car, sometime you will go on bike or something like that, right? Initial
Hmm.
years.
Hmm.
So I used to start at 6 o'clock. He used to call me at 9 o'clock, and he used to call me in his cabin at 5 o'clock in the evening. So I used to wait outside his cabin from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Really?
And later on, and this he did 22 times, and
Wow.
22 times, right? So 22 times he used to call me at 9 a.m. and he used to call me in his cabin at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So I'm sitting there without anything that this guy can call me anytime. So I'm just sitting outside his cabin
Hmm.
and not going for lunch, nothing, just sitting. And then I realized that was his tag to negotiate. So you're completely, you have given up everything, right? And that was his tag. And when he started the discussion of negotiation, he was able to get it in 50% of, क्योंकि उसने मेरे को, he killed my moral, everything physical, he
Everything.
drained me everything, right?
खाना पीना कुछ नहीं पूरा ही.
Pura 22 times in 1.5 months, like 40 days he must have called me 22 times. And every time he used to say नहीं ये तो अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, this you change that.
But I hope it was worth it in the
Yeah,
end.
it was worth it. And then we were single source for Piaggio, we are single source for Piaggio today. So
Hmm.
we did a lot of business, we are doing a lot of business with Piaggio. So of course we became very good friends later on. He also
Hmm.
understood. I don't know. Probably he was thinking whether we will survive,
Hmm.
whether we are worth for Piaggio,
Yeah.
the negotiation tact, and everything. It was
Hmm.
a mix of everything. But then, so you get all type of experience, right?
Absolutely. And पैसे टाइम पे आ जाते थे.
हाँ पैसे तो वो so MNCs तो कोई इशू नहीं है.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that should MNC customers have no payment issues. So
Awesome. Awesome.
once they write, they write.
Hmm. That is true. That is true. Wonderful. It was great talking to you, Milind. I mean, it's a very fascinating journey.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's thanks a lot.
you know, anything you want to share, anything which I may have missed, you want to say to our listeners?
I would say, when India is growing, India needs a lot of entrepreneurs, and I must have spoken other platform also, that people think ki how to start and what to start, right? So
Yes.
I would always tell them, go and if you're in India, probably go and see our import bills. Okay, if in US, go and see US ka import bills. So
Hmm.
import bill is the biggest problem that country is having, right? So if you see India ka import bill, the the maximum amount of dollar India is spending is on oil, right? So
Yes.
build substitute for oil. Like now, if you see Nitin Gadkari and all openly saying, "Ki make some substitute for oil, make
Yes.
some hydrogen cars or hydrogen, battery, this that, but reduce that bill." So
Hmm.
that's the biggest hurdle. If we save that amount, probably you will make much more roads, or spend somewhere else, if you don't spend that money in oil. So oil is one of the biggest imports. Second import bill, if you see India, is gold. So I don't know whether you can make something uh, alternate of gold.
Diamond factory diamond something.
कुछ तो करो. Then the gold bond is something good, right? So you don't
Yes.
require gold. So that is the second thing. So third is electronics. So I'm sure people are doing a lot of electronics now. and fourth is capital goods, where we are, right? And now we are going from capital goods to electronics also. So we are, so these are the kind of problems India has, right? So if you see, these are the four biggest import. I don't know fifth, so probably somebody can go and see fifth. So when we say okay, capital goods, so go and see what are the capital goods which India is importing, right? Everything India is importing. Go to a tire station, tire alignment का machine भी import किया हुआ रहेगा.
Oh.
So you might be going in a tire alignment, right? Just
Yeah.
बाहर तुम्हारा that is imported. बनाओ उसको,
Oh,
बेचो. You go to a
wow.
gym, all those machines are imported.
Wow.
So there are a lot of capital goods which every, go to a hospital, every machine is probably imported.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of things, right, which India needs, entrepreneur needs, which we keep on importing. So it is not only AI ML के पीछे पागल होने से कुछ फायदा नहीं है. There are a lot of machines also which have to be made. पहले machines तो बनाओ, उसको हम smart बाद में बना लेंगे.
कोई
मशीन आप
मशीन
चाइना
बनाने को
से
रेडी
इंपोर्ट,
नहीं है।
हाँ, और सिर्फ AI ML तो हम फिर दूसरों का मशीन लेंगे और उसको AI ML कहाँ से लगाएंगे? वो खुद ही AI ML लगा के दे देगा चाइनीज,
सही
उनसे
बात है।
थोड़ी वेट करेगा.
दैट
So
इज ट्रू।
let us not be, mad after AI ML. Everybody is running towards that. So okay, there are some different path, like making machine itself. So a lot of imports is happening. So see that. Don't go here and there कि मेरे बाजू वाले ने होटल डाला, मैं भी होटल डाल देता हूँ. कोई जरूरत नहीं भाई, तुम इंजीनियर है, तुम अपना इंजीनियर का काम करो. So there is no need of so many coffee shops or so many restaurants, right? So
Hmm.
what is required for India is machines, electronics, substitutes. So
Hmm.
we should spend a lot of time. Go sit with ICER guys. They are making a lot of things. Go and sit with CDAC guys. They are, वो बैठे हुए R&D लेके, वो तो टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर करने के लिए बैठे हैं. आइसर में जाओ, इसमें जाओ, इंडियन रिसर्च के जो इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, जैसे पूना में है, बेंगलोर
Hmm.
में है, एंड देयर आर सो मेनी प्लेसेस, राइट? सो दीज आर
Hmm.
द पीपल हु विल डू R&D फॉर यू एंड गिव द प्रोडक्ट टू यू फॉर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग.
Hmm.
उनके पास लेके जाओ. अगर तुम्हारे पास टीम नहीं है तो यू गो टू देम. Nowadays, you say कि ठीक है, मैं तुमको इतना पैसे दे रहा हूँ, and they will also put their own money. They will develop a product for you,
Oh wow.
and they will transfer the technology to you. You can go and manufacture it. So there are a lot of facilities nowadays government has done, and so we should do that. We should explore those things. Earlier, those things were not there, right?
Yes. And that's a very nice way to look, because people keep saying cannot find any, area to work, and it's
Hmm.
a nice lens to look at कि import bill आप देखो,
Hmm.
कितना आ रहा है, कितना can be substituted and built within India. Absolutely. I
Because
mean,
those are the things which are required, right, by India.
yes, absolutely. क्योंकि someone is already using it.
Yeah, somebody is already making it, somebody is already using it. So you make it, you do it your way.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks a ton, Milind, for your time. Very fascinating
Thanks, Ashish.
conversation. Really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot, Ashish. Thanks for having me here. I hope people get some benefit out of this.
Absolutely.